Welcome. Good afternoon, evening, or potentially even morning, depending on where you are in the world. All right, I'm going to turn this down just a little bit more. And it ended at the same time, so I have no idea what the volume's like. Hopefully you guys can hear me over the music, but I thought I'd have a little bit of background music on. And we can change that if we need to. But welcome. We are going to learn about Fusion 360. So I had some people in my stream and in my wife's stream who does things on makers and crafters, as well as art, heard that I was using the Fusion 360 software. And I had asked if people would be interested in hearing or seeing how I use the software. It is a free piece of software, as you can see here on my screen, and hopefully you can see that. There's only so much room, but I will be able to zoom in and stuff, so we will be able to look at some of the designs a little bit closer. But this is a free version. You can see right up here, it says not for commercial use. There is a link pinned at the top should you choose to use the software. And also if you type in ! Fusion 360, that will get you the link as well. Don't unmute. Mute. Don't mute. Don't mute. Don't unmute. All right. So somehow we've got, I don't know what that is right there. Anyway. All right. So we're going to do a couple of things. One, I'm going to show you a few things that I've used it for to design. And then I'm going to go through the process of basically what you see right here. We're just starting with a blank piece of paper. I don't know that this is how the manufacturer or the programmers at Fusion 360 intended you to use this software. I don't know if you go out and watch YouTube videos that they will teach you the things that I'm teaching you. All I can tell you is this is how I have found that it works best for me and that I get the most productivity out of it. Anyway, and this is an open dialogue. So if you guys have questions, if there's something you didn't see, something you want to see, and I may or may not have the answer for it, and yes, you're going to actually see me with my glasses on, because otherwise the screens are so close I can't see them. So anyway, let's start while people are kind of joining us here. Let's start with what are some of the things that I have created in Fusion 360. Well, let's start with, I have a laser cutter and I needed to create an exhaust setup so I could have the exhaust from the laser cutter go out the window. But I didn't want the window open because obviously then it just comes back in again. So I actually designed a whole set of pieces to go across there. But one of the things that you'll see here is I reused one of the pieces I'd built to actually create a post as well for an outdoor light assembly. For my wife to sit out on the porch. And you can see here I have some recesses for some magnets. And everything that I'm designing here either is for my 3D printer, which is a bamboo printer, or it is for my laser cutter. Now these will produce designs and I can show you what those look like. And I don't usually, like I said, I don't typically probably start the same way most people do. So again, this is my interpretation or how I use the software. So for example, these little valance hooks here. These are the little hooks that go on your blinds, on your shades, on your window, that attach the little faux valance to the front of the assembly that always seem to be breaking. And I got tired of buying new ones, and I got tired of them always breaking. So literally, and this is kind of going to go into a little bit of the design process, I literally, on a piece of paper, drew the shape, a rough shape, and then took my veneers, my calipers, and started measuring the piece and writing down the dimensions. And then from that, started creating the components to basically build this. And now I have this saved forever, and I can send it to my 3D printer whenever I want, and I can make a bunch of them. And they cost me about 1 penny each to make, if that. But anyway, so as you saw, literally I sketched it on a piece of paper, and then we'll see here in just a little bit how I come in here and kind of work through it. But this is, when I print this out and actually hold it up to the ones that were supplied by the vendor, they are almost identical. I made these a little bit deeper so that they hold a little bit better. And I made this a little bit wider so there's a little bit more of a push to hold them open. But other than that, they are identical. When I say a little bit, I mean like 0.2 millimeters, roughly, larger. So that is a couple of things that I've done. My wife had purchased a tufting frame. It's all aluminum, and it's a large frame. And what I realized was you either had to use a 4 foot by 4 foot piece of fabric. And if your rug wasn't 4 foot by 4 foot, then you were just using a small space of it, but you still had to use all that fabric. And I thought, well, that's silly. They need an arm that goes either vertically or horizontally to reduce that space. And so what I did was I actually recreated. I made a plastic version of those extensions, and these are 7.5 inches, and then this one's 3 inches, or 2.5 inches, so that the whole thing comes out to be 10 inches long. But anyway, I went through and made these out of plastic, and they are very, very, very sturdy and very, very strong, and designed these. And so now she actually has a set of segments that she can put in there and basically make the frame any size that she wants. So she doesn't always have to use a 4 foot by 4 foot piece of material. So to kind of show you what that looked like on paper, I literally drew it out on a piece of graph paper first. Now these are obviously not my writings, because this is actually a printout from the computer. And I'll show you how to get this out of Fusion 360 as well. But basically, I just took that little set of calipers you saw me hold up and measured one of the existing pieces and then replicated it inside of Fusion 360. So I have this end view for my segment and the end view for the main component. And then you'll see in here I also have the overhead view and dimensions of all of those different key points of what those things need to be. So literally that is kind of the process that I start with when I go through these. Is I sketch something out on a piece of paper, and sometimes I don't even do that. And we'll talk about that in just a minute. But let's look at a couple of other things that I've created. My wife came to me and said, hey, I saw this 18th century tape loom on some website. can you make one of these for me? And I thought, okay, yeah, sure. So I went out, took the website that she gave me, found some dimensions, not all of them, but found some of them, and literally just started replicating it in here from scratch. And then what I realized was, hey, I don't have to build out each one of these components. I can actually build the whole piece kind of pre-assembled, because I'm going to actually print it as one solid piece anyway. So now when I send this to my 3D printer, it is one solid piece. And I have, I think, let me look over here. I think this is the one component, yeah, that I actually have a diagram of from Fusion 360. And it is literally, yep, I know. It is literally just each of the components, and what the size of those components are, and the dimensions of each of those offsets, what the radiuses are, etc. So it's just, again, very rudimentary. I could have done this on a piece of graph paper or whatever else. But one of the things that Fusion 360 will let you do is actually bring your designs in and add dimensions and stuff to them. As a matter of fact, give me just 1 sec. Let me reach over here. So a finished one. So this is a ring that I designed, and this is what it looks like when it prints out from Fusion 360. So it has all the dimensions on it, and all the sizes, etc. So if you ever wanted to recreate this, or if you wanted to machine it, you could do that as well. The other nice thing about Fusion 360 is it does output your file in a lot of different formats. I actually am outputting mine in an STL format because that's what my 3D printer likes, and so that's how I output those. And I 3D printed that ring. I've showed you guys before on stream, and I can show you again if you'd like, because that's actually what we're going to walk through tonight, is the process that I went through to actually make that ring, because I think it kind of highlights a lot of the different things that you kind of need to know and understand, or at least in the way that I use the tool. The one last thing I will show you here is this one. I'm actually kind of proud of this one, because this started as a flat line drawing inside of a program called Lightburn. Because I had actually started to make this frame out of wood and thought, boy, wouldn't that be great if I could just 3D print this thing? And since I'm 3D printing it, it'd be really great if I could put lights on the inside of it. And then if there was a place for the battery pack down here, and then if there was a place where I could like glue or rubber cement all of the little lights in place, so it would shine through the piece that I put on here, and here's what the plate would look like. So the finished product looks like this. So as you can see, or maybe not see, there is a laser etching on the back side of this mirror that is now inside of this frame that you see on screen that I 3D printed. And then inside of here, whoops, and then inside of here, there are actually lights and a USB plug to light the lights. And then it shows through. And so this is, and I did basically the same thing. I literally took the dimensions of the mirror. I decided how thick I needed this lip to be, how wide I needed the lip to be, so I could insert it firmly. And this, believe it or not, both this and the back, which I now can't get off, there we go, are just press fit. The mirror is actually here. I'm going to pull these lights out of here real quick. Set those over there. It is literally just press fit in there. So if I wanted to, I could actually just push this right back out again. So this does allow you to be very, very precise and very, very accurate in the size that you make everything. In fact, you can see this as I put this in here is also press fit. And I actually drilled a little tiny hole right here just so I had something to get in there to pull the back off of it. But since it has cooled down and shrunk a little bit, it is a little bit better. But you can see it's multicolored printed. And now this is one solid. This is now one solid piece, which I was going to put these out on the Etsy store for sale. I just haven't done it yet. But I wanted something that would be sturdy for both shipping and once the customer received the product, that it would last, right? That it wouldn't break easily, etc. So anyway, these are just some of the things that you can do. And like I said, you can have the dimensions and stuff put on there. It actually even started with something as simple as this. My wife needed a clamp to go onto an arm stand where she could mount one of her cameras so that she could twitch. And she wanted it in a position, and we didn't have a mount piece that would work for that. So literally just 3D printed this. And when I actually go to 3D print it, I actually move this component actually in line with this so that when it 3D prints, the hinge is already in place. And so as soon as it gets done 3D printing, it's ready for use. And basically you either put a magnet or a screw in here, and it screws into there and then works just like a clamp and holds onto the arm. And then her little camera has a threaded slot, a female threaded slot on it. And then I just screw it down over this soft plastic, and it basically, the threads just, dig into the plastic and leave the threads on the plastic. And so she actually uses this all the time still. And it allows it to be, adjusted, etc. But then, I was able to print that, design the whole thing and print it in, a few hours. And now it's something I can use whenever. So anyway, the last thing I will show you is the thing that we're going to start working on today. And again, as you guys have questions, as you see me doing things, if you're wondering why I'm doing it this way, what did I just do, etc., type it in the chat. I have no problems going back over it. We can go over it again multiple times. Obviously, this is being recorded on Twitch, and so my VOD will be out there, and it's also on YouTube live at the moment, so it'll be out on YouTube as well. So this is the championship ring. So someone asked me, or someone said, hey, I'd really like to have a championship ring for this thing. And I said, oh, I do custom fabrication. I'd be happy to make a prototype. What were you thinking? And they literally said, I want one of those really big, gaudy, kind of Super Bowl size rings. So that's what I made him. I made him a big, giant Super Bowl size ring. And then they told me what words they wanted put on the top of it, and I put the words on it. So I didn't have a ring that I could print that was the size I wanted. So I literally went out to here and created one. So this is what we're going to work on. We're going to actually go through the process that I went through to create this from scratch. And similar to what you saw me do with the blind clips, I did the same thing with this. I literally just took my finger and the pair of veneers and went, I think it should be at least this wide, and at least the length should be like this, and it should be at least this high, and I know kind of what dimension my finger is, etc., right? So that's literally what I did. So I scratched that down on a piece of paper, and I'm getting ready to show you guys how I started. So let's close this off. We don't need that anymore. We're gonna go ahead and clear that, and we're gonna start here from a blank. Okay. You don't have to start this way, but this is how I start. I start with, for me, kind of what is the center component that everything else kind of needs to focus off of. And for me, that was the ring, the head of the ring itself, because I can always contour and figure out the body shape. So, let's talk about all the things that are up here. So I'm actually in the design phase, but you can see I'm working in the solids. There's a surface one, there's a mesh one, there's a sheet metal, there's a plastic, there's a utility. Which one is better than the other? Have no clue. What I do know is when I got it, it started off in solid, and so that's where I started, and it worked. It does do some other things. But the other thing that I really like about this is each step that you do gets recorded down here. You'll see this little play button that you can actually rewind and walk through your design. But I also like that you can then select any one item in that playlist and basically delete it. And we'll probably do that a couple of times as well. Okay? You have the typical things. Are you doing a new design? Is it electronic design? New electronic library? Are you doing a drawing? I'm not doing a drawing. I'm actually doing a design. It will 3D print from here. I don't have my 3D printer hooked up to this particular piece of software because my printer came with some other software, so I use that. You can bring in a captured image if you want to start with that and build your piece on top of it. You can definitely do that. You can insert an image. So you can come in here and you can go, yeah, I want to start with this thing. And you can put that in there, wherever it is. Oh, it wants me to orient it. Yeah, okay. So once I have it oriented in there, now you see I have something that I can kind of follow. Granted, it's two-dimensional, right? But you can now create some things and start working around that, right? So it does do that. So that's very nice. So we're going to get rid of that. And again, and I always start with the top view. I don't know. It's just a mental thing. You can change your document settings here. So are you doing millimeters? Are you doing inches? I used to do inches. I've been doing millimeters for a while and just really haven't had a need to go back and change for any reason. And it seems to translate a little bit better into my 3D printer as far as actual sizes once it's 3D printed. So that's helpful. You can actually name the views something different. As you build things, you can name your saves that are in here. You can name different components. They actually do have a good tutorial in here. You can go out here to their help center. They have a whole learning panel. If you're first starting out, it'll tell you step by step. I think I watched the first 5 steps and then skipped through most of the rest of it. So again, my way may be a little unorthodox, but it will literally walk you through all the things that you need. I try not to look at that anymore because it confuses me and it bothers me. So, how do I start? So for the ring, like I said, I knew I had a size in mind. And in this case, in fact, I'm going to do it literally while we're talking. So in this case, the ring size is roughly 29.8, so 30-ish millimeters by... So let's say 29 by 29 millimeters is going to be our starting dimension. And I wanted at least, because I want it to be bulky and chunky, right? Let's say 10 millimeters high. Okay. So just literally with those dimensions right there, I'm going to come in here under create. I'm going to go down here to box. I'm going to pick the plane. Wow. Sorry, my brain went blank. The X, Y, or Z plane in which I want to create it on. I actually just want to create it on the flat plane here on Z. So we're going to go back up to our top view again. Oh, and I do like this. It does do a lot of really nice things. I'm going to pick a point. I will try to center it afterwards, but I don't know what the size of this is going to be. So I'm going to pull this out here. Okay, so we said 29. So literally I'm just going to walk this in. So there's 30 by 30. So we can start with that. Now I can just come over here and change both of these to 29 by 29. I could change this to just 10 millimeters high. What you can also do, and I find this helpful, is I'm actually going to flip to my front view, and you can actually grab this blue arrow and move it up and go, I want it to be 10 millimeters high. You can do the same by changing this to 10. You can do the same by changing that to 10. And in this case, we are going to make it a new body. I want it to be its own new unique thing. So we're going to click OK. And look, we've created a box. We're amazing. Look. All right. Again, I probably do this wrong, but now for me, I'm going to center it. So we're going to move body, the whole body. We're going to select it. Fortunately, it gives us the ability here that if I grab this component here, I can move the whole thing wherever I want. Or if I only want to move it on a certain plane because I have it where I want it, I can do that as well. But what we're going to do is I want to try to get this as centered as possible. And yes, sometimes I do this by eye. So we're going to do that right there. You'll see also here I can change the angle. And you'll notice if I flip my view, I can also change the angle in this direction as well. Okay, just literally by grabbing this and going, yep, I want it this way or that way. You can also type in the angle that you would like that set to. Okay. So now that I have that there and I like it and it's where I want it to be, by the way, the way your mouse works, I'm going to click OK. The way your mouse works on this, we're going to go to top view. Your scroll wheel is zoom in, zoom out, right? Your left mouse button, select. Your right mouse button is your menu button. So you can click on something, go, I want to delete this, I want to undo it, I want to repeat it, make a copy of it, etc., etc., etc. Okay? If you don't want to always have to do the flat view to this, you can actually put and do an angled view by clicking on this. You can also hold down Shift and your center wheel, hold it down, and it gives you a 360-degree view of however you want to do it. And then you just click this again to reorient it the way that you want. Click and hold the wheel button down to move it up and down, left or right, so you can center your image the way that you want. Okay. So now that we have this, and I like it, I don't like the sharp corners. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and kind of get the rough shape of what I want the top to look like. So I'm going to click off of it and make sure it's not highlighted. And then I'm going to move my mouse. You're going to see a difference here. See how this turned light gray? See how that changed shades? That means I have this selected. If you watch closely, and I'll zoom in for you so you can see. So if I go over this, you can see it changes to that grayish color. But you'll see if I just hover See how that line got bolder? I hope you guys can see that. So watch. See how thin it is? And see how it got bold? So I'm going to click on that. So now that line is blue. Okay. So now I'm going to hold down the control button because I actually want to do all of those edges. So you'll see the same thing as I put my cursor over it. That line comes up. I can click on it. It's now blue. I'm going to press control again. I'm going to come over here and click on that line. That line's now blue. I'm going to come down here to the bottom. I'm going to hit control again. I'm going to click on that line, and now that line is blue. So what that means is now all 4 edges of my box have been selected, and I'm going to come up here and I'm going to do a fillet or a rounding or a scroll. You can change how you want it. It can be a full round. It can be half round. It can be a fillet, whatever it happens to be. And I just unselected all my edges, so I'm going to select all those again. 1 second. So you can see how easy it is. Now all 4 of them are selected. And now, again, I can type the numbers in here that I want. Again, I'm a visual person. So I'll pull this in and go, well, I don't want it that much. What looks about right? I think I want an edge that looks... Whoops, I just undid that because I clicked shift again. Hang on. Let's try that again. So we're going to select that edge. We're going to select this edge and that edge and that edge. Do that. I'm going to pull this in a little bit. Now I'm going to come over here and look at it from the side. And I can hold down the control key to see what it looks like without it. I'm going to hold down my shift key and I'm going to kind of look at it from a 3-dimensional perspective and go, does that have the look that I'm really wanting? And if it's not, I can change it. So I can go, okay, no, what I really want is like 1.5 millimeters. Maybe that's more what I want. Okay. So again, you can change that however you would like. There are some things you can do with how it's set. I don't mess around with too much of that. And we're going to go ahead and say, okay. So we're going to go, yep. All right. To start, we like that. What we don't like now is that it's still that boxy shape. So actually, remember how I was saying you can undo things? So I'm going to show you that real quick. So we can come back down here and select any one of these items. We're going to select this one. We're going to right click on it. We're going to say delete. And it's going to remove just that one step. And it doesn't matter that it was the last step. It can be any step in that chain. You can delete it. And you can also move where that step is in the chain as well. All right. All right. So what I decided was I really want these corners rounded as well. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the corners. Let's start with the corners. I'm going to flip that. And yes, I will tend to do this the more difficult way for some reason. So we're going to come up here again, and I'm going to say, yeah, I just want to take the sharp edge off of it. Yeah, that looks much better. All right. So we're going to say, yep, we like that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put that other edge on here. But now I need to get these corners as well, because I want them to have that same radius, because I want it to be nice and smooth all the way around. So same thing, control, click to select. I'm going to do my radius again. I'm going to go ahead and pull this in. And now I can see what kind of a radius I'm going to get from that. All right, let's take a look at that. Okay, that's kind of starting to look like it's not quite so boxy, but yet still has that form and shape that we're kind of looking for. So we're going to go with that. All right. So there we go. We have the top of our ring. Okay. So I've said a lot of things, and people may or may not be listening. If you are listening and you have any questions or anything, please feel free to put them in chat. But so far, hopefully everybody kind of gets the sense of what I've done so far. And again, if I didn't like any of those things, I could just remove them again. Okay? But now, we're going to do kind of the more difficult piece. Because now, I've got to put the ring component, the part that goes on your finger, on here. So I'm going to get that front view, so I've got a nice flat level view here. I'm going to move it up in my view just a little bit. Because remember, I need a hole here for my finger, but I also am going to need it to attach to the body. So what we're going to do is something a little interesting. So we're going to take a cylinder and we're going to put it on the same plane as this side of the ring. And now what I've got to try to do is figure out where is the center of my cylinder, so that when my cylinder is extended, it's going to hit probably right here on these edges, because then I'll round these in. So if we go back to our other here, let me come over here. Let me bring up this one, just so we kind of have a reference to kind of go back and look at. And this one may not... This one may not end up being anything like the other one. But you can see, so if we go to this view, you can see we have our shape. Like, okay, so these corners are rounded much more than the other one. Right? If we look up here at the top, yeah, much more rounded. By the way, we can actually hit inspect and it'll actually tell us what the radius is of that and how big it is right here. Okay, so we can measure all these things as well. But anyway, so you can see here, I've got the ring. So this is actually the first cylinder that we put in here. So you can see it's just at about that intersection that we want that to come. Okay, we can get rid of the blank one. So we're going to come back over here and we're going to look at this. We're going to go, okay, so I want that. So I'm going to insert a cylinder, insert it on this plane. And why am I inserting it on the same plane as this? Because that's where I want it to start, so that when I make my cylinder, it is this length of the body of the ring. We're going to worry about the width later. Okay. So now, sadly, I do this by eye. So I will take a look at this and go, so if I make this big, and I'm looking at this wanting to be somewhere around there, I think I'm going to start it right about here. How close do we get? Ooh. That is too big. So I can just kind of tell by looking at it. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and click that. And we're going to look at it from this side. And I'm going to go ahead and pull this all the way through. And it's going to say, do you want to cut this? Because I'm actually going through the body. And I'm going to say, no, I'd actually like this to be a new body of its own. So it's actually going to create that. And now I'm going to look at this and I'm going to go, okay. Maybe if I was Shaquille O'Neal, my finger would be that big around. But that just doesn't look right. I would really like it to not go out beyond that other corner. So I'm going to come back down and I'm literally going to right click on this and say delete that. To delete it? Why did it not delete? Oh. Yes, I wanted to. Oh, body. Delete. Oh, it deleted the... Okay, hang on. So we got to select this. We're going to select this. We're going to select that. Now we're going to delete it. There we go. I have to select all the surfaces of the body when I'm deleting it. All right, so now we have that. We did not like the way that looks, so we're going to run this one more time. So this time we're going to start probably closer to here. And I bet if I measured this and then measured this distance halfway, it would be just about right. But again, I'm kind of an eyeball kind of person, and this makes it easy to do that. So, okay, that's probably a little bit more of what I'm looking for. Yeah, that's just about what I'm looking for. So let's drop that one. Yeah, because now if you figure we put a circle in here and a circle in here and then cut that half of that back out so we have an arch, that'll be a good blend. Okay, so I'm going to flip this over to the side. I want this to be the same size as this. And I don't want it to be a cut. So I could make it a join and it'll make it a part of it, but I'm going to go ahead and make it a new body because we're going to do some other things to it. And then I'm going to say, okay. We're going to come back over here and we're going to take a look at it. And we're going to go, that looks about right. However, I can't get my finger through that. So now we're going to come up here under create. We're going to do another cylinder. We're going to do it on this same plane. We're going to start in the center. And now I'm going to come out here and I'm going to go, I want the width, I want the band of this ring to probably not be more than probably 1 or 2 millimeters at the most. So I'm going to say, let's just say 1 millimeter. And then I'm going to flip on this. And this time I do want it to cut. So we're going to leave it as red and we're going to say, okay. Now I'm going to come back and take a look at that. There we go. Now maybe that's a little thin, but I don't think so. Now, notice that did cut into the body of our ring a little bit, so we'll have to keep that in mind as well. All right, so we like that. All right. Now, what we did over here, and I have to go back and actually remember this myself. So now, believe it or not, we're going to put another circle in here, and we're going to cut part of this band out. See how that now tapers down? All right. So let's come back over here. Come back over here. And so now we're going to put a circle in here. So we're going to say create another cylinder. We're going to do it on this plane. And we're going to come up probably right about there. And we're going to want to go not quite to that edge. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to take a look at that. Well, that's not where I want it to be. So that put it on the wrong surface. So we're going to Control Z that, which just takes it away immediately. We're going to come back over here. We're going to do it again. Cylinder. We're going to select. Okay, so I think it selected the body again. We'll have to check here. Control Z. Select cylinder, and now I'm going to select this edge right here. There we go. There we go. that did not select where we wanted it to. So Control Z again. Cylinder. All right, there we go. So now we're going to come up here again. We're going to pull this out. We don't want it to go quite that far, so I think we want it to go about that far. So let's take a look. Nope, we don't want it to go that way. We want it to go this way. And I need to move that one. It's on the wrong plane in that direction, but it's on the right plane for the other direction. Yeah, because I like that. Although I am going to cut that later. Let's undo that. Let's do this again. Let's flip this one more time. I'm going to flip this like this. And now I'm going to create cylinder. I'm going to select that surface. And I'm going to bring this back around up here. And now I'm going to pull this about like that. And again, that is it's starting at the wrong spot there, and I don't know why it is starting at the wrong spot. But literally, excuse me one sec, the sun's right in my eyeballs. There we go. All right. But literally, this is the process that I go through with this tool from time to time as I'm figuring out how I want this to look. So for me, a lot of this is just that. It is touch and feel more than anything else. So let's work on these side ones here real quick. So we're going to pull this up here. So let's work on these diameters, or these loops we're going to put in right here. So we're going to put this on the same plane as this. And now what I want is I want one that's going to fill in but not go through that wall, because I'm going to come back and I'm going to cut part of that out. So we're going to undo that. We're going to select cylinder again. We're going to zoom in a little bit. We're going to pick that plate. And we're going to pick right about there. And we're going to pull yep, I think we're going to pull that right to there. Pull this over this way. We're going to go this direction. We're not going to cut it. Make it a new body. So now we have that one. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select move and copy. I'm going to make sure we have bodies selected. I'm going to select this body. I'm going to say create a copy. It automatically creates a copy and it's ready for you to move. So I'm going to leave it on this same plane and I'm just going to drag it over here. Just like that. And we're going to say okay. So now I've got these two pieces on this side. And it kind of looks like somebody wearing some sort of a weird hat. But that's the start of what I want, because now I'm going to come in and I'm going to put a radius in here. So to do that, I'm going to come out this way. I'm going to put another cylinder in there and I'm going to actually cut it. So I'm going to do create, do cylinder. I want it on this plane again. And I'm going to zoom in again for this one. So I'm going to come up here. I think I want it about, nope, I don't want it there. So Control Z that. Create cylinder on that plane. Ooh. That's almost it. It looks like I need to move up 1 square. If I move up 1 square and maybe in 1 square, that'll be just about what we want. So Control Z, create cylinder. We wanted to go in 1 and up 1. So right here. Oh, I didn't select my plane. Cylinder, plane. So I think we wanted it right here. Okay, so now we need to go down 1. Yeah, I think we'll go down 1. Okay. Create cylinder on this plane. No, that's going to be down too far, because I don't want to go in that much onto the ring. Okay. Create cylinder. This plane. All right. So this is literally the process. You guys are watching me go through it just like if I was doing it on my own. So that is about what I want. Right there. And I'm going to have a little bit of cleanup to do on that, but I'm going to go ahead and flip this sideways now. Pull this up. And this time I will cut. We'll flip back over here. And now, see, we've got a nice shape right there, and we can get rid of that. We can clean that up in just a minute. But you can see that gives us a nice blend into that. And we're going to do the same thing. Let me zoom back out here. We'll do the same thing going this other direction so that that comes across as well. So that means I've got to come over here. I'm going to come back into here. We're going to create a cylinder on this plane. And we want to be right there. So actually, there we go. Bring this over. Cut that. And there we are. So that gives us our design from that direction. So now we need to do the same thing, but in this direction. So I'm going to come over here. And actually, I think I'm going to pull it up. And I think we're going to start from this side again. So we're going to insert a cylinder. I may have to cut that one again. I don't want to cut that one again. So I think I'm hoping I can pick up this. Can I pick up that dimension right there? Let's pick a plane. Nope. Wrong plane. Okay, we're going to come in like... All right, so this is going to go this direction. So if I cut that, what is that going to look like? Let's take a look. All right, I'll probably have to clean that up a little bit. It's going to have a little bit of a point right there, but we can nick that off. It's going to have a little bit of a nick right there as well, but I think we can take that off as well. All right. So now, believe it or not, I'm going to Control Z that. And I may have done it one too many times. Hang on. Yep, I did. So I need to go forward. There we go. Okay. So we know it's going to put it in the center. So we're going to grab that. We'll do our cylinder again. Pick our surface. We're going to go a little bit higher this time, 10 millimeters. We're going to come across this way. We're going to say okay. Yep, okay. So now we're going to come in this way. Cylinder. On that plane. Alright, so that is definitely not in the right position, so I need to be down one. Cylinder. At 10. Oh. All right, so that's off just a little bit, so we're going to move that until that fits right like that. We'll say okay. We're going to come over this way. And now we're going to extrude that. Nope. Nope. Cancel. Except for instead of join, we're going to say cut. All right. So now we're going to take this and we're going to select that. We're going to select the side of it. We're going to select that. And we're going to do delete. There we go. So let's take a look. So that's got us our radius that way. And we have our radius that way. All right, so now the fun part is we're going to match this up on the other side. So we're going to come in here. Actually, I guess I could have just moved that over here. That probably would have been the smarter thing to do. Cylinder on this surface. We're going to go 10. That is not in the right place. We're going to set it. We're going to say okay. I'm going to move it. In fact, I'm going to pull out a little bit. We're going to get it right on that. And now I know if I go this direction only. All right, so now I'm going to have to move this in smaller portions now. So let's say 2, 5. Okay, so how about 5, 0? How about 5, 2, 5? How about 5, 5? There we go, right on that edge. Okay. So we'll say that. We'll take this. Come sideways. Again, we're going to do extrude. Take this way. Again, we're going to cut. And this time I'm going to be smart. I'm going to come over to this side. Pick this side. I'm going to do extrude. And save ourselves some time. And go this way. We're going to do cut. Say okay. And now I can come in here. Select this. Select that. Select that. And delete. Oh, missed it. Delete. Okay. All right, so let's take a look. Is that the angles that we're wanting? Yes. That all looks good up there. Now, we want to do something to the bottom of this ring. So we're going to put this like right there. We're going to move that up. And we're going to see if it'll let us put a cylinder on this. And we'll see if we can cut that. So we're going to put a cylinder on here. We're going to come out like this. Hang on. I need to take a look at this from another angle. Oh, wow. Oh, that's right. It's on that layer. It's on that level. Okay. So I am going to have to look at it from here. Let me look at it from the bottom. So let's do... Yeah, let's do something like that. That should clean all of that up, and that's going to give us that nice round look that we're looking for. So we'll nip that. Yeah, that's got that nice look we're going for. All right. So now I'm going to Control Z that because I need to remember how I replicated it because I got to do it from the other side. So again, we're going to do our cylinder. We're going to pick that surface there. We're going to come out here. And I think 30 seems about right. Except for that is in the wrong location. So we're going to say okay for now. I'm going to move that. Oh. We're going to bring it down here. Ooh, that's going to be a little tough. I don't want that much. So let's cancel that one. Oh. Oh. Okay, I gotta remember that it's actually drawing on that other plane. Sphere. That may still be too small. So we're going to go up to like 35. How about 40? Let's try that. And then we're going to take this and we're going to move it straight down here. Yeah, I think that's more what we're looking for. Right there. And then we're just going to bring this straight down. Yep, okay. So we want that there. Grab this face. Extrude. I did not mean to do that. Try that again. This face. We'd like to extrude it this way. We would like it to be a cut. And I'd like to see what that cut is going to look like. Okay, that's giving us that. Okay, so now, if I was brilliant, again, this is probably not the way they teach you to use this software. But we're going to grab this now. We're just going to move it this direction like that. And now we're going to say okay. We're going to say we want this surface. And we would like to extrude it this way. Yeah, there we go. As a cut. We're going to say okay. And now I'm going to come in here and take this and that and that. I think I've got all the things, right? And then delete. Nope, I didn't have all the things. All right, so I need this, that, and that, and now we would like to delete. So back to the top. So we need to nip those little corners off right there, it looks like. However, let's take a look. Hey. And believe it or not, although they look huge in here, oh, I did nick that just a little bit, didn't I? Even though those do look a little big in here, when you go to print this out, they will actually be smaller than that. Although that did end up with a little bit of a lip on it. So let's fix that. I don't like that. So we're going to get our circle in here again. On this plane. Okay, so I need to go down half. Okay, so we need to scroll in a little bit more. Create cylinder here. New body. I'm going to move that. In fact, I'm going to move that in just like that. Yep. Yep. Okay. I'm going to take this face right here. Extrude that. I'm going to make that a cut. Alright, so that cleaned all that up. Yep, now it's nice and even. Okay. So now we can select this. Oh, I'm going to select that. We're going to select that. And we're going to delete it. Let's pull out. Take a look at our top piece again. Alright, so we still have a little bit of a rough edge on that corner right there. But we've got our shape that we want. Although we still have this on this inside here, and I don't want those two little humps right there. So let's work on cleaning that up. So now, it's pretty straightforward, right? Cylinder. This plane. Find that center point again. Match it up to that. This time we're just going to pull it all the way through as a cut. Come back over here. There we go. All right. I like that. All right. In fact, what I'll probably do is take this edge and round it back in. Did you see what I did there? See how I'm pulling that radius back in? And it's going to sink back in below my line. Then I'm going to say okay. Because remember, it's not going to print that. So now that's out of our way. So now we're going to come up. Oh! Wrong button. Sorry if I'm making anybody dizzy. I forget sometimes which button does what. Alright, so we're going to take this radius here. Do the same thing. And we're going to move it in until it's completely blended in. We're going to say okay. So let's take a look at the front now. Ah, much better. Now we've got nice smooth lines. And I know those look a little jagged at the moment, but believe me, when they print out, they won't be. We're zoomed in pretty tight. All right. So there is the basic shape for our ring. All right. So again, not the most orthodox way of using the tool, but that's the process that I go through, using some sort of a sketch and really just kind of work through the design element as I'm going. Now, what'll probably happen is I'll print this off, and then depending on how sharp these corners are, well, here, let's just assume they're a little too sharp. So let's take this. So I'm going to pick this. I'm going to pick that line, and I'm going to pick that line. So I've got both of those. Okay. We're going to radius again. All right. So now we can smooth. Oh, let's see what that looks like. Okay. Now that's rounder. And actually, when that prints, that'll probably be a little bit smoother. So let's go ahead and do the same to this side over here. We'll grab that. We'll grab that. We'll do the same thing and we'll roll it back up under there. Up right till it says I can't do it anymore. Then we'll say okay. Yep. Now, if I don't like these edges as well, I can grab one of these and I can say, yeah, let's go ahead and kind of round this off a little bit. Oh. Although this one's not going to do it because I've already done the other ring. So let's see if it'll do the inside one. It may not do this one either. Oh, there, it's going to do that one. Okay, so see, if I wanted to, I could actually blend this all the way out. Like that. And so now what we end up with is a nice, smooth radius where that slips on, as opposed to this sharp edge right here. So we'll do the same on this side. We'll round that one off as well. Oh, hang on. Oh, too far, too far, too far. Oh, nope. I've got it kind of sideways at the moment, so we'll stop right there. There we go. All right, so that's nice and smooth. That's nice and smooth. All right. The one other thing I'll show you guys that I do quite often on a lot of these pieces is if I need holes or something set an equal distance or an equal location or whatever. So what you can do is, so let's say we're going to put jewels around the outside of this, right? So I'm going to create a cylinder and I'm going to zoom in here. Oh, zoom in, not out. I'm going to find this corner here. I'm going to say on this surface right here, I would like to put a circle. I don't like that. We're going to try that again. All right, I like that. So we're going to put a circle there. And now, again, I'm going to flip down here because I want to see it from the side because we're going to do an inset, right? So I'm going to pull it down and I'm going to say I want it 1 or 2 millimeters deep or whatever, right? So I'm going to say I want it 1 millimeter deep. And I'm going to say, okay. So now if I come back up here and look at the top, I now have one of the holes that I want set. But I want an equally spaced number of holes across here and an equally spaced number of holes across here. Actually, you know what? Let's go back. I'm going to actually try this differently. We're going to learn together. All right. So I want one on this surface. I think we're going to do our extrude trick again. So I think we want one right here. Nope. I want one. Okay, so one more to, so halfway to the, so 2 dots to the right. Okay. All right, so let's say I want one right there. No, I'm not going to say join. I'm going to say it's a new body. I'm going to say okay. Now, I think what I'm going to do So I'm going to move that to where I want it exactly. Bodies. All right, I want that right there. Okay. Now what I'd like to do is copy it. And I'm going to move it down here. And I'm going to move it over here. And then I'm going to go down to this corner down here, and I'm going to take a look at this, and I'm going to grab this, and I'm going to move it. To right there. All right. So now we have our two pieces. And I don't know that this will work. So this is the first time I'm doing this with you guys. So we're going to grab this. We're going to extrude it, but we're going to go the opposite direction. We're going to say, okay. We're going to grab this surface. We're going to say extrude. We're going to go the opposite direction. We're going to say, okay. All right. So now I've got my two cornerstones set where I want them. Okay. So now I'm going to say I want a mesh. I'm going to do a feature, and that's going to be my hole. Excuse you. Oh, it's a body now. That's right. Okay, nope. Is it a component? It's a face. We're going to select a face. We're going to select the axis that we want it to go on. We want it to go on this axis right here. So now, let's say, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to space them first. So because that's what this is based on, is spacing. Have it going in one direction at the moment. And now that I have my spacing right, I'm going to up the count. And I'm going to drag my spacing again. And I'm going to up my count. I think I'm going to go 7. Does 7 look like about right? Yeah, 7 looks about right. So we're going to say, okay. Air. Oh, because my pattern went the wrong way. Mesh. Not bodies, faces. Axis, that direction. Actually, it looks like we can get 8 in there. What? Okay, let's try that one more time. Do I not have the whole thing selected? Okay, axis. So let's go that way. Okay. All right. There we go. And now we have 7 of those equally spaced right across there. Now the thing is, you can't do that with one you've created as a result of that. You actually have to start with a new one each time. So like, for example, if I come in here and do mesh now, and I do this, or is this my corner one? And I do that, and then I do axis, and I do the red line this time. Oh, it is going to let me do it. Maybe that's because this is my same one. So now I can come in here and I can put that where that is and do, what do we say? 7? 7 it is. Say okay. All right. So that's how you evenly space them across your thing. And then I should be able to do that again. And do that, and that, and that. Select my axis. I'm going to do this way. I'm going to do 3, and then I can go up to 7. And say okay. And then hopefully I can do that and that. Select my axis, and I can go this way. I can put that one right in there. And then I can go 7 again. And say okay. And there they are. So now I know all of those are evenly spaced across the face of that ring. And then when I go to print those, they'll all have those little inserts in there so I can put little rhinestones or gems or whatever in there. All right. It does auto save for you. Now, with the free version, you're only allowed 10 saves. And my 10 saves are already set, so I'm not going to save this one. But hopefully that was helpful in some way, shape, or form. Hopefully you got something educational out of it. The last thing I'm going to do is we're going to talk about how do I get all the dimensions of whatever this is. Okay, so once your piece is done, yes, I don't want to upgrade, thank you. Once your piece is done, what you're going to do is you're going to come up here and you're going to do new design. Oh, sorry. We're going to do new diagram. Oh, that's our championship ring already. We already have that one. So we're going to come up here. We're going to say new drawing from our design. We'll name it something. Ring 2. Oh, it's not going to let us save it because I don't have any more save space. So then it's not going to do that. So hang on. So we'll take this one. So we'll take this one here and we'll say new drawing from design. We're going to use ISO from scratch, create new. We want the full assembly. We can't do auto because we aren't paying for the paid version. I am going to reduce the size of this. So is it 420? That's at 2 something. That's too big. So we're going to do number 3. We'll say okay. Now what it's going to do is give us a blank piece of paper like this and the ring itself. Where you put the ring actually does matter because all of your designs will come off of this view. So I'm going to put this ring right here and you see where you can select what you wanted it to look like. Did you want a top view, a front view, a top view this way? How did you want it to look? Side view, bottom. So we'll do the front view there. I think that's fine. We'll do the see-through version. So there we go. Now from this, you can click on this and say you can either repeat the base view or you can do a projected view. And depending on where you move your cursor will determine if you, so this is the other side. So I'll put this right here because I want that side view. I would like this kind of 3-dimensional view. So I'll put that over there. And then we want one view from the bottom. And then we can say, okay. And there we go. So with that, then from here, you would go in and actually do all your dimensions. So you can click on the dimension component, click on a radius. It'll tell you what that radius is. You can set that. You can pick a dimension, like how wide this is. Pull this up. Do that for each one of these little holes. And then we'll set that. So anyway, that kind of gives you the idea as you go through each one of these. Hopefully somebody found this interesting or useful. And then maybe we can do another one of these some other time. But we can do this dimension here. All right. So that's basically how you do it. And then, of course, each of these can be moved. You can just click on the piece and you can say move it, and it'll let you move it in a different direction. All right. All right. Thank you for joining me. Hope you enjoyed this. And have a wonderful rest of your day.